when people say read about you in a newspaper article, they already feel that they know you. It's like you're being endorsed by that outlet, that media outlet. And because obviously people like to work with people they like and trust, you've overcome these hurdles straight away. So it's just win, win, win all the way for you.
Welcome to the My Future Business Show, where we get you in front of your best audience and keep you there. Not only are we interviewing the biggest names in business to help you become even more successful, we're inviting you to book your spot on the show to help you grow your business. So at the end of the call, make sure you fill in the interview application form at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews. Hello. Welcome back to the My Future Business Show. It's Rick Nuske. I'm your host, and on today's show, I'm with the wonderful Sharon Bolt. Welcome to the show, Sharon.
Hello, Rick. I'm really excited to be on your show. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. We were just talking about pets, animals, dogs, and everything involved with the wonderful four-legged friends of ours. And not only that, we're going to be venturing into how to get free publicity. Now, just to give you a bit of a backstory, Sharon is actually the founder of a company called Get Free Publicity Today. She has co-authored 2 highly acclaimed books called Successful Women in Business and Every Entrepreneur's Guide, Running Your Own Business. But before we go into the nuts and bolts of today's call, Sharon, I would love to learn more about you, your past, things like where you're located and what you'd like to do when you're not working.
Sounds fantastic. Absolutely. Well, I'm located in England. I live about an hour's drive from it's Heathrow Airport, I think most people know about.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm southeast from London. And yes, I love animals. I love dogs. I had 2 Parson Russell Terriers. They were 8 weeks old when we got them, and they literally transformed and changed my whole life and career as well, because I had a complementary therapy practice. So I was helping people with bad backs and skin complaints, digestive disorders, fears and phobias. So I was doing that. And then we got these 2 Parson Russell Terriers, and they were 8 weeks old, and they were gorgeous. And I thought, right, time to get them enrolled into a puppy socialization class.
Uh-huh.
But it was so busy. So I spoke to about 7 or 8 different dog trainers. And when I told them I had these 2 boys from the same litter, they just said to me, oh my goodness, that's the worst case scenario. They will do whatever they like because of the blood connection, and they will probably fight for the top dog position, whereby you're going to probably need to rehome one of them. So
That's
as
no
you
good.
can imagine. No.
I know that we're going to be really focusing in on a couple of, media tools and where people should be applying much of their efforts today to help grow their business. But before we do any of that, I'd love to learn a bit about how it was that with your line of work in a former life that you were featured in a BBC documentary.
Well, it all developed because of these 2 little puppies. I was on a mission, when people were telling me I'd have to rehome one, it was like really choosing to rehome one of your children, isn't it? There's no way I
I'm
could
not letting go of
possibly
them.
do that. So I was on a mission to find out the best way, and so it developed from there, and so the career changed. That's what I wanted to do. And then what had happened is my first media exposure actually was on a radio show here. It's a BBC radio show here in the UK, when it has over 6 million listeners. And at the time, I just saw this opportunity. I saw that they were looking for someone they said they were looking for a dog expert to come onto the show. And at the time, Rick, I didn't have a website. I didn't have a dog training business. But I really saw that I could help people. I could see the differences that I was making with my own dogs. I was starting to do a few consultations with clients. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to put myself forward for that. So I did. I emailed the radio show, and it took 3 emails. I wasn't going to give up. And yeah, within the following week, I was sitting in the studios in London being interviewed as a dog training expert in front of 6 million listeners.
Oh wow! I bet that was a massive jump. How did you feel at the time?
Well, I felt really excited, to be honest. I just thought, I believed it. I think it's always about this self-belief, isn't it?
Hmm.
It's that I believed I could make a difference. I believed what I saw in front of my eyes, and I wasn't going to wait for someone else to validate me or tell me it was okay to do it. So I'd made a couple of decisions before I went on the show, because obviously this was very new to me. It was my first media attention that I was getting. My husband was freaking out big time. he was like, "Oh no, what are you doing? What if they ask you a question you don't know the answer to?" So I stayed focused. I believed I could do it. I made the intentions before I went to the show that I was going to have a really lovely time, and it was going to be like I'm chatting to you now. I wasn't going to think about anybody else, and that they were all going to be really nice and supportive to me. And that's exactly what happened.
Isn't it funny how you can manifest, your own reality through the way you think? And you've provided some sage insights into what it's like to take a risk even before you are validated. You don't need to get other people's approval to take action, do you?
No, that's it, isn't it? And I think a lot of us, when we're growing up, we're looking for approval the whole time. We're looking to please our parents. We're looking to please our school teachers. We're looking to fit in with our peers. We're looking for approval the whole time. So I think then when we become a business owner, an entrepreneur, it's like, well, do I still need this approval? It's like a habit. And I think that that's the key, is to start telling yourself that story, that you are good enough, you can make a difference, and to really believe the results that you're seeing in front of your face.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much for sharing. I know now that the dogs and your love of them and your involvement with them is one part of your journey. But as a business owner at Get Free Publicity Today, your focus is very much, I guess, shifted. I was wondering if you could share a little bit about how it shifted and what you're doing today.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you, Rick. It's what happened really is that, I this is now sort of like, I suppose it's 13 or 14 years since that first media attention that I got.
Hmm.
And as you mentioned before, it then developed. It just went on. It was like the snowball effect. I was in the zone. Producers were contacting me. I was connecting with lots of different people. So it became the TV shows that I've been featured on, the regular slot on BBC Radio 2, where I take the listeners' calls. I've had that since 2008. So it was really that, all this was developing, and it seemed really easy to me. And what I found was that it was about you, but it's really self-promotion. It was about you being in control of it, rather than I did actually sign up to a PR company, and I just found I got so much better results myself. So it was really, as that developed, so many business owners were saying to me, "How do you do it? What do you do?
Mm.
And how do you get featured so often?" And I just thought, it's about time for me to really start to document and record what I do and why I do have so much success. And that's how it developed. And so my new company, getfreepublicitytoday.com, was born. And it's, where now I do online courses, and I teach business owners how to be their own PR person, how to empower them to be in control of what's happening.
Yeah, because you've been involved with some pretty seriously big names. You've got entrepreneur.com, HuffPost, Sunday Post, the Argus, Metro, and the list goes on and on and on. That is a high caliber group of people that you're contributing to. Are you still contributing to those platforms?
Yes, I do. I still have my regular BBC radio slot where I go to the studios. Well, before lockdown, I always used to go to the studios. Now I do it remotely from home,
Hmm.
and where we take phone calls, and so I continue to do that. Features in the press and magazines. So I continue to do that, and also I like to keep in contact with journalists because it is about building relationships with journalists. And when you do get on that role of things, then it's not a case where I'm having to pitch people as much as that they're coming to me and saying, oh, Sharon, we've got this story. Can you comment for us? Or what advice do you have? What tips can you give our readers or our listeners or our viewers? So that's how it all sort of like goes hand in hand then.
Mm. You mentioned just moments ago about how you're now working remotely, and this is, I guess, a global thing that's impacting all of us. Are you finding that your techniques and things you're sharing with your clients are changing to adapt and evolve based on the current situation that we're all living through?
Well, it worked out actually very well for me, Rick, because I mean, several years ago, so I'm talking about maybe 4 or 5 years ago, could even be longer than that,
Hmm.
I actually started to create my online dog training courses. So these have been selling all around the world now for a number of years. So of course, that was already in place when I started, or when the lockdown started and all the problems had started.
Mm.
So I was all ready to go.
That's wonderful. I mean, if there is a good thing that can come out of this terrible situation that we're going through, that there is one example. Now, you're you're helping your clients position themselves to be more visible, and we're going to talk about your specific technique and one of your latest offers in a moment. But I'd love to talk about how does an individual build their presence and create a brand for themselves, and how important is that?
It's so important, isn't it? I mean, even just looking on social media, everybody is clamoring to try and be seen as the authority in their niche, to stand out from the crowd, and to get obviously in front of their ideal client. So it is just vital. And the thing is with PR and getting featured, whether it be conventional media such as the newspapers, magazines, TV and radio shows, or podcast shows or top blog sites, you are then getting in front of your ideal target market. And that's just obviously for business owners, that's the biggest hurdle. And the other thing that is so good about it, Rick, is that when people say read about you in a newspaper article,
Hmm.
they already feel that they know you. There's already, it's like you're being endorsed by that outlet, that media outlet. And because obviously people like to work with people they like and trust, you've overcome these hurdles straight away. So it's just win, win, win all the way for you.
Yeah, because the types of media have expanded and transformed and changed, and podcasting certainly seems to be becoming far more popular than it was even a couple of years ago. Are you noticing more and more people moving towards that particular platform?
Yes, I am. And also again from this lockdown situation, of course people can't do the things that they used to do. So there's been a huge rise in the purchase of online courses,
Hmm.
but also a huge rise of the people listening to podcast shows because it's something that we can do that we doesn't need, we don't have to social distance, we don't have to leave our home. It's all here at home for us. So these are particular areas that have really grown during this lockdown period and this pandemic.
Yeah, I was looking over your bio, and something that really stood out for me is, we're talking about using, strategies to increase our publicity. I was wondering, beyond all that, is there, I guess, a certain dialogue that you would use when you're approaching somebody to appear on a show? What is the process that you take people through?
Yeah, it's a good question, Rick, because there is, there is a main reason why business owners just don't do very well in publicity, and that's because what we tend to think as business owners, we need. I suppose it goes back to school again and trying to get approval, is that
Hmm.
we try to prove ourselves. We say how long we've been in business, and we've done this and we've done that. And the thing is, with journalists, they don't care. They're not interested in you. And, it's a harsh truth, I know, but they're really not. They want to know what you can do for them. How can you entertain and educate their audience? You see, the thing is with journalists, they are professional storytellers, so they want a story from you. So you don't have to have been in business for 10 years. As I shared with my initial experience, I didn't even have a dog training business. But they didn't ask me about that. They weren't interested about that. They just wanted to know that I had some good information that I could share and educate and entertain their listeners. And that's what I put myself forward for. So don't worry about, you haven't been in business for X amount of years, or even if you've had no prior experience in the media. That's why I like to tell my initial story, because, blow away those myths of what you should or shouldn't do. All journalists are interested in is that you're going to give them a good story.
That's a light bulb moment right there, isn't it? I can only imagine, when that happened for you, how you were thinking about, what, there's an opportunity for not only me, but for everybody that I can help through your training, of which I'd like to talk about in a moment, your latest offer relating to podcasting. But before we jump into that, I want to wind back just a little while, because I have a very special place in my heart for book authors. Tell us a little bit about your books.
Oh, yes. Well, what I did with this, Rick, is, we know again as business owners and entrepreneurs, trying to position yourself as an authority in your niche and being that expert in your field
Hmm.
is crucial. And one of the ways that you can do that is to become an author. Now, of course, there is the downside to that, because it takes quite some time to really sit down and dedicate, and, with the writer's block and everything else that you're trying to juggle in your life, to
Hmm.
try and write a book. So in line with one of my contacts and areas that I know that are looking for help with various things, there was an opportunity for me to write a chapter in a book. In
Hmm.
fact, the two books. So all it meant is that I co-authored it, but I was presented then as one of the experts in the book, and they're both published, these books. And so I was able to get that authority. And I suppose, a lot of it was already written down from various things that I'd done anyway. And I just collated it all together and put together a chapter for these two separate books. And there I am now, a co-author.
And this is publicity, isn't it? This is just one form
Exactly.
of self promotion, brand building, if you like. What are the other formats of publicity, and what are you finding to be most popular?
Well, I think that podcasting has really taken off.
Hmm.
It's just so easy, isn't it? Like I'm chatting to you here now. You're in Australia. I'm in the UK. It blows away any type of distance. I'm sitting in my office at home. I'm chilled out. I'm relaxed. I'm having fun. It's easy. It's so easy to do. And I think more and more business owners are really understanding that this is something that they can do. They just don't know where to start and how to go about it. So I really see that podcasting is really taking off, and anything online. But of course, there's still the traditional, the newspapers, the magazines, and radio and TV. There is that too. But certainly during this time of the pandemic, I've really noticed a big increase on podcasting.
Yes, absolutely. I know that you have created some amazing content on your website, and I'd love to talk a little bit about your website in a moment. But I think now that we're focused purely on podcasting and using that as a platform to help solopreneurs generally, and small to medium-sized business owners grow, I was wondering if you can talk us through your latest offer.
Yeah, well, what I put together is it really is a starting place for people that they can start to get. I mean, really quickly, I'm talking about, this week, next week sort of
Mm.
time scale that
Hmm.
they can start being interviewed on podcast shows. And that is my offer where I've created this. It's a video program which is called These Podcast Show Hosts Are Looking for You. So it's not a case that you've got to go and try and find them. I talk about a little known site, and I know you know which one I'm talking about,
I
Rick.
certainly do. There are several, but this would be one up there with the best of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I go through the video, I talk and I show people where this site is, and I tell them how to get the very best from it so that they can stand out and what to look for and things like that. So it's really to get people up and running. And in order to do that, I mean, I'm just pricing it at £7. So, you know, something like US dollars, $10, just so that people can, and I'm not kidding and I'm not exaggerating when I say to people, you can start being a guest on podcast shows as little as this week, next week type of time scale.
Is absolutely an opportunity for you if you are listening. You are a small to medium-sized business owner. In fact, any size business can benefit from podcasting, and I certainly recommend that you get your hands on this. And I'll be making the links back to this particular offer in Sharon's website. Now, speaking about websites, when people get to your website, what are they going to find?
Well, what I also, again, I like to try and give as much free content. And, I know what it's like, Rick. I mean, you too, I'm sure. We're trying to get started. We're trying to get ourselves out there. We're trying to compete with our main competitors and everything. So what I've done is I've put together a webinar for people. It's a free webinar, and they can sign up for it on my website, getfreepublicitytoday.com. And they will get, I've called it 5 steps that get you in front of thousands or even millions of your dream clients and positions you as the go-to expert in your niche fast. And this is without blogging, using Facebook ads or tech. So that's a free training for people that they can sign up for and get on my website.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I'm just looking over it now. In fact, there is a great deal of very pointed content relating to media, and your history is on there, but also you offer a session where people can talk to you directly. Is that right?
Yes, what I do is that there's, for people that are already up and running, so I'm talking about people like consultants, coaches, online creators, online marketers, people that have already selling something.
Mm-hmm.
I offer a free consultation where people can sign up and we can have like a discovery call and see if there's I can give them some tips, see what if I offer anything that can help them further. So there is that opportunity too.
Fantastic. Thank you so very much for sharing everything that you've shared with me today, Sharon, and our listeners. Now, keep in mind, everybody who's listening to us on the show today, Sharon has been involved with, the BBCs of the world, Daily Mail, Mirror, HuffPost. The list goes on and on. There's lots of credibility here. There's certainly value in getting your hands on this podcast offer. I know that you are going to be amazed when you find the content inside of there. Now, importantly, Sharon, what's happening for you now? What's coming up for you?
Well, more of the same, really,
Mm-hmm.
Rick. I mean, love getting, on podcast shows myself. I really enjoy being a podcast show guest. So I do a lot of that. I've created different online courses and programs for people because I just really want to help people and get them on the right track. So, and I just love being interviewed in the media. So it's fun, and that's what I like. And I mean, not only can it really change your business literally overnight, it's so much fun. So I just love and live and breathe that.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the call because it is a laid back conversation, and that is what is important, is having the ability to connect online, especially nowadays, Sharon. You're making some wonderful things happen for people all across the world now. Importantly, what is the website domain? What is the address of your website when people want to find you?
Yeah, my website is www.getfreepublicitytoday.com. So it's all one word, getfreepublicitytoday.com.
That is a fantastic domain name. You cannot forget that. It's getfreepublicitytoday.com. As is normally the case, I will be making sure that the links back to Sharon's website are below the post. No matter where you see or hear this interview, you will find the links back to Sharon. And with all that being said, Sharon, I did actually have such a wonderful time spending some time with you on the My Future Business show today.
Thank you very much, Rick. I've had a blast, and thank you so much for having me on your show.
Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed the call, then make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, share us with your friends, and book your spot on the show at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews. And if you're looking for solutions that will help grow your business, then visit myfuturebusiness.com/shop.